I mean, it would be a lot less than an iPhone, right?
You would change. So the camera is so
Yeah, my friend Nathan.
less than 1600. Sorry. Alright everyone, we're back. It's Friday night and I have the Nothing Phone 3A. Yep, I've been dealing it for a bit, and while I was, a friend of mine asked me, hey, is it any good? But here's the thing, what's important to you? As a tech reviewer, I could tell you a whole bunch of things and I can assume, or, hear me out, we're on the boulevard, it's Friday night, people are out and about. Why don't we just ask them what they want in a phone? Maybe we'll ask them what they think of this one as well. Let's go. Alright, we got two people here walking down the boulevard. Hi. What are your names?
Aurélien.
And
Eva.
nice to meet you guys. Question number one, what phone do you guys use?
I have a Samsung S22 Ultra.
iPhone 10.
What's your name?
Shahnaza.
Shahnaza. Lovely to meet you. Shahnaza, what phone do you use?
I use Samsung
You use a Samsung. Which one?
S23.
What's your name?
Scott, iPhone 16.
My name is Nitin.
And
Carlo. I use Android.
Android. Which one?
Samsung.
I use iPhone 14 Plus.
I'm Sartaj.
Sataj and Miss?
Binnaz.
I have an iPhone 16 Pro
Okay.
and she has 14 Pro.
Okay, that
Shreya.
15 Pro Max.
13 Pro.
Andreas,
Mijong.
iPhones 14 Pro.
Yeah?
I actually don't know. It's my
That's it.
company phone.
Cool.
14, 15.
13, 15. One of the iPhones. What's your name?
Cassandra.
What phone do you use?
iPhone 14 Pro. Hey, Lucine.
Andrea.
Nice to meet you guys. Quick question. What phones do you guys use?
iPhone.
Yes,
iPhone.
iPhone too.
Do you remember which one?
15.
Mine is 14 plus.
15 and 14 plus.
Plus now. Now is max, right?
Max, yeah. The big one.
Mine is 14.
14. What are the most important features for you guys?
For me, it will be the camera and the screen also.
So camera and screen, two
Yeah.
important things. So to watch videos like this one, to
yeah.
subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. I like.
And also camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
And la camera.
Yeah, the camera.
The
Camera.
Yeah.
Anything else at all?
Maybe the processor and so it can be powerful.
If you wanted to buy a new phone today, what are the most important features for you?
I look for camera megapixel.
Apple product because all my friends use Apple products and we've got interconnectivity.
You're on the ecosystem.
You bet.
For me, the processor.
The processor.
Yeah.
So performance is important.
Yeah.
What do you use your phone for that?
I used to play games a lot. So
Okay, so you're a gamer.
Yeah.
Alright, okay, so that's a big one. What about you?
Battery life.
Battery life is important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same as him. We used to play games.
Oh, you guys used to play-
Yeah, we're
what-
colleagues.
Wait, hang on. What games did you guys play?
Mostly soccer,
Yeah?
PUBG.
Okay, a lot of PUBG.
Same.
Squad up.
Yeah, squad.
If you die to people, it's people like this. They come together, they coordinate, and then people like me who play solo get murdered. Okay, fine, cool.
For me, price.
Okay.
And obviously I'm so used to the iOS.
Yeah.
So I would rather go for something that I'm kind of used to.
So price and familiarity.
Yeah, familiarity. Exactly.
Familiarity.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And you miss phone?
For me,
Yes.
photograph.
Photograph.
Oh.
Okay, so the camera is important.
Yes, camera is
Most important. Okay.
yes.
For me, it's the camera.
We use the camera.
Yeah.
For me, the same.
And
the performance.
camera and performance,
Yeah.
just camera.
Yeah.
Anything else?
And maybe also the cost. I wouldn't want it
Cost?
to be really high.
Yeah, definitely I would be looking for cheaper options.
Oh, you would be okay. So
Yeah,
cost does
yeah,
factor in.
Yeah.
For me is speed to set it up and like basically using it. When I have a phone, I want to use it immediately and I
Yeah.
want it like it's my old phone basically. All the data should be on there.
I think same for me as well. Like transferability from my old phone.
Is there anything else that you look for?
Maybe camera.
No, camera as well. But yeah, the rest is kind of not that important. But
Camera quality.
Okay.
Has to be an iPhone. I don't know.
Has to be an iPhone.
I think it
What
will
do you
be
look
the
for?
same software, so I will
Okay.
buy another iPhone
Okay.
because I'm more used to the iOS
Yeah.
and the camera. I like to take
You
pictures.
said you didn't know anything about phones. She's talking. You know stuff.
For me, whatever is easy to transfer. So if it's iPhone, it's easier to transfer all the data to iPhone. So yeah. And camera, I guess, is good as well. Like the colors, you know.
Okay, so ease of use and the camera. Those are the two
Yeah.
most important things.
Yeah.
Right, so I don't know about you, but I'd say we learned a thing or two today. I mean, it's right here on your screen. You see what people want. The next time you complain about a tech reviewer just making it all about the camera, it is quite literally what people want more than anything else. But it's not the only thing people want. So let's go down this list. Let's work our way through. Let's get some of the easy stuff out of the way. This screen. This is a 1080p OLED screen that goes up to 120 Hz. It's variable refresh rate and it works just fine. It gets pretty bright in direct sunlight, about 1300 nits, I believe. Now, don't believe the 2700 nit peak brightness. That is a 5% window, which means 5% of the pixels can get up to that perceived brightness. It's a rabbit hole I'm not getting into. The important thing is that the peak brightness in HDR, that is the full screen, is bright enough to combat direct sunlight. That's a good thing. Now, as for performance, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Hear me out. I ran a benchmark, right? 3D wildlife stress test, the extreme one, ran for 20 minutes. At the end of 20 minutes, I got a stability score of 99.4%. Now, bear in mind, the score itself wasn't super high. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't super high. But a 99.4% stability means that the performance it started with was the performance it ended with. That is not something I find in a lot of mid-range phones. Mid-range phones generally start at peak performance-ish, and then over 20 minutes they keep tapering down because they thermal throttle, and then at the end of it you get 50, 60, 70%. This is actually really good, consistent performance, even though it's not the top tier performance you'd expect. What does that mean in real life? Okay, on the one hand, let's talk about gaming. If you're playing something that is optimized to run well on Android, on whatever type of chipset, then that's going to run pretty well. You're going to get reasonably high refresh rates and the screen will support those, but you'll get them consistently over the time that you game. That's really, really important. That you cannot say that for a lot of mid-range smartphones. Having said that, if you try and play Genshin Impact on max settings, or worse, Call of Duty Warzone, which is not optimized at all, it's really hard to run, then don't expect this to perform in any satisfactory way. It's just not going to do it. You probably will drop down to less than 30 frames per second. I'm just being honest here. But while that is true, and while you will feel maybe a little bit of a dearth in performance if you're video editing or you're photo editing, you'll still get the job done. And for everything else, just for everyday use, this thing is fast, this thing is snappy, and there was absolutely no time that I felt the need for power. That is probably a testament to them just trimming everything down. There's no bloatware, there's no adware, there's just none of that. They've kept it down to a minimal so that you have a good, relatively premium user experience, and I, for one, appreciate that. So from a performance point of view, outright performance is not what you get, but real-world performance for a lot of people, I feel this is going to feel just fine. Which brings me to battery life, and I'm going to keep it very simple. I wake up in the morning, 6:30 a.m., 100% battery, fully charged. I go to sleep at 10 p.m., 35% battery charge. This was consistent over the few weeks that I've been using this without fail. Now, it is worth mentioning that I don't game. I really don't game much on my phone anymore, so that wasn't a part of this, but a lot of social media, probably too much, some video taking, some photo taking, and everything else that all of you do. Now, if you go to sleep at 10 p.m. and you wake up in the morning, you probably lose another 4-5%, but that remaining 30% with that battery saver taking you the last 10% of the way will probably get you through almost another half day. Almost, not quite. But still, that is pretty good battery life. And here's the fun part, 50-watt fast charging. There's no wireless charging, but let's be honest, on a budget, if I had to choose between fast wired charging and average wireless charging, I'm going with fast wired charging every single time. Every time. And that finally brings us to the camera, the thing everybody's been waiting for. Okay, how do I break this down? Let me talk about a couple of negatives before I get into all the positives, right? Because it's important. Number one, the ultra-wide camera does not work for video beyond 1080p 30. So you can take video up to 4K 30, not 4K 60. You can do 1080p 60, 1080p 30, and so on. If you want to use the ultra-wide though, for video, you're maxed out at 1080p 30. Don't ask me why, it's just the way it is. Also, if you're a content creator, there's no pro video mode, so you can't lock your settings in, and there's no way to use an external microphone, wired or wireless. So for content creators, either you go for a third-party app that allows you this, or just don't pick this phone. I don't think it quite works for that. Now, for the photo side of things, out of the box, the ultra-wide and the 1x had really, really good color consistency between the two lenses, but when you got to the 2x, it seemed a little washed out. After the firmware update, it seems like the lenses are a bit better color matched. However, now they're a little inconsistent in different conditions. Like in some conditions, the ultra-wide will take on a green tinge and the 1x and 2x will seem same. And in other conditions, the ultra-wide and the 1x will seem color consistent, and then the 2x will have a little bit of a bluish tinge. So I think they still need to work on their color science a little. or at least they're color matching between lenses. Having said that, the thing I really like here is the actual color science. There's no Hasselblad, there's no Leica, and yet colors are true to life out of the box. Your 1x camera is probably your best bet, let's be honest. The 2x is not bad either. I do like that if you go into photo and if you hold down the 1 or 2x, it brings a little zoom wheel and you can almost seamlessly zoom all the way through to something like 30x. Wouldn't recommend it. You can take it and then the post-processing will clean up the image, but also makes the image really, really smeary and weird. So I wouldn't recommend it, but it's there if you want it. What is cool is the use of filters. You can use filters that are there or you can download LUTs or lookup tables and add them to the photo. I wish that was there for video also. That would be a cool little thing, a fun little thing, but still, this is a nice thing to have. But it's not all roses and butterflies. There is one other issue. See, when you first take a photo, it shows you the initial photo, and honestly, they're horrible photos. Badly exposed, overly sharpened, really, really weird colors. And then it takes a couple of seconds. You can see this happening on the screen, and then after processing, it turns it into something amazing. Much better exposure with multiple exposures, that HDR doing its thing. Skin tones look natural and colors look pretty much true to life with the contrast bumped up ever so slightly. Really, really good results on the camera. However, on multiple occasions, it did seem like it was over-processing the heck out of the photos. Like, check this photo out where there's a little bit of a halo around my cutout. This isn't portrait mode, this is just a regular photo on the 1x. It looks really artificial and that's not a good thing. I'm all for post-processing because you can get amazing results out of cameras that are not inherently that good. So for cheaper phones and even flagships, that is the way. But in this case, I think maybe they're going a little too much and they should dial it back a little. And then there's the portrait mode, which is not terrible, but it's a little hit and miss. Honestly, just use the 1x. You get some background blur. It looks more natural than the portrait mode anyway. Of course, then you run into the other problem, which is it takes time to take a photo. And if you've got fast-moving subjects, even in broad daylight, it can be hard to lock focus and snap it at the right time. You can go into pro photo mode and lock that in, but otherwise, you're most likely going to miss your subject a lot of the times. And this is much worse at night when it has to take a longer exposure and they're moving subjects. It's a bit of a mess. And then there's another issue with WhatsApp video. When I use the front-facing camera or the rear-facing camera on WhatsApp video, it feels like the quality is good. It is. The front-facing camera is actually quite decent and the rear-facing camera is great, but it feels like it is running on less than 24 frames per second. I kid you not. I mean, just check this video out. Does that feel like even 24 frames per second? No, it's just weird and stuttery, and while the image looks nice, the video does not. It's probably a bug they're going to fix at some point, but it's not fixed yet. And that's my problem, see? It's just too many ifs and buts for me to give this camera my outright endorsement. And that is honestly quite frustrating because when I first got this, just if you have it in your hand for a few minutes, it feels like the camera is good. But if you start using it a little more, there's just too many little weaknesses that come out in the overall user experience and too many quirks and limitations. So I think given that people clearly want camera performance above everything else, they need to work on their camera right away. They need to clear out all these kinks. That is the Phone 3a in a nutshell. Pretty good for the most part, works well for the compromises that it has, but there are kinks to sort out. Essential spaces, still in beta. That's why I haven't talked about it much, because it is a long way to go before it is worth talking about. Photos, pretty good. Videos, kind of okay. Too many caveats to speak of and therefore can't give it an outright endorsement. Performance, pretty good, pretty consistent, but it's not going to be the highest performer in the mid-range category even. Because I think they've done a decent job for the most part working within their constraints, but I think they could be doing a little better. If nothing else, just tweak the software and sort out your camera issues, nothing. What about those other two things at the bottom of the screen? The ecosystem / convenience and the easy switching between ecosystems. I was curious to see if people would even consider switching ecosystems, what would make them think of switching, and what they actually thought about the Nothing Phone 3a, given a little bit of hands-on time. Have you heard of this brand called Nothing?
Yeah, nothing fun.
Why don't you play with it and tell me what you think?
It's beautiful. It's light.
Yeah. So this is the new 3a that's just launched. They have a look around and see what you think.
Which one is this? 3A?
This is the 3a.
Pair it with my
Yeah, please, by all means.
This is better, right?
It's a bit different on the back though.
Yeah. Let's try the camera.
Yeah, go for it.
But for me, it's like the leg, you know?
Yeah.
It's more legging.
But that's a whole other video. So that's going to be the next video on this channel. So maybe you want to hit that like and subscribe button and wait for that one. It'll be out in a few days. But meanwhile, do you think I missed something out? Comment down below and I'll try and incorporate it into my next review so that they can be actually useful to you guys. I hope this was useful and I hope you enjoyed it. Stay happy, stay peaceful, stay colorful. Namaste.